tell us about compassion.
Okay, wait a sec. I know we just opened up a video here, and we're going to, there we go. Okay, hey, good morning, everybody, and good to be with you. As you can see, I'm here live with you today with just dear friends, Jonathan Goldman, Andi Goldman. Thank you for being with me. I'm going to give you a proper introduction in a minute, but hey, let's just shout out to everybody here.
Hello.
All right, and we're coming to you live from Boulder, Colorado. It is one gorgeous day here in Boulder. Oh my goodness, just sunshine, breezy, very breezy actually. Mary Poppins kind of day. You don't want to walk around with your umbrella open today, but gorgeous. So we have a great hour in store for you. I want to just shout out to everybody, friends of the Goldmans, and the Sound Healers Association, Sound Healers. Shout out to all of you, to our Humanities Team friends, our Humanities Stream Plus friends, John Raymer and the Sign Network, all of you out on that network. Big shout out to you. Thanks for being with us live today. We have a great program in store for you. It is, of course, sound healing, but we're also tying in the summer solstice, which, as you know, it's June 21st. So just around the corner, we're going to talk about that. A really neat program that the Goldmans are doing live on the summer solstice. We're going to talk about that during the hour. So we're going to get to a lot of fun stuff. Thanks for being here with us. We're just going to have a whole lot of fun. Now, this is a live program. So as always, then, you can put in the chat there on social media questions you have, comments that you want to make. The sooner that you put your questions and comments in chat, the sooner we can respond to those. We can, right here in the studio, they have a feed that bring all of those back. So that way, this isn't just some big speech where we're here giving presentation after presentation. That's nearly not what we're after. We're after really an interactive thing where it almost feels like we're in a circle together, right? Sitting outside or sitting inside in some beautiful spot. That's what we're wanting to create with this live program. So be sure to throw your questions and comments at us. Okay, so let me give a proper introduction to Jonathan and Andi. Jonathan and Andi Goldman are world leaders in sound healing and dear friends of mine and Humanities Team. Jonathan is a pioneer and respected authority in the field of sound healing. He has written several solo books, and he is the director of the Sound Healers Association and president of Spirit Music, Inc. Andi is a licensed psychotherapist specializing in holistic treatment, incorporating sound healing in her practice. She is the director of the Healing Sounds Seminars and co-director of the Sound Healers Association alongside Jonathan. I've invited the Goldmans to join us here today to talk with us about the summer solstice, this sound satsang event on June 21st, and applications for sound healing in the world today. So those are some of the things we're going to get to. And again, I'll give you a big warm welcome. Thanks for being with me live today.
Steve, thank you so much. And we are so delighted to be here to share with Humanities Team Day.
What a blessing it is to be able to resonate with the audience now and forever.
Yes, amen and amen. So Jonathan and Andi, we were talking just before we came on about just this history of sound healing. Kind of what is it for, I know a lot of the audience knows you, is familiar with sound healing, but many people aren't familiar with where did it start, what's it for. Can you kind of share the story? How did this whole thing get going?
Take it away, Jonathan. He started it all long time ago.
And this is going to be an abbreviated story, Steve, because it's pretty fascinating and pretty long, and I'm not going to do that. 40 years ago, I was literally allowed to take over at the very, very beginning of my, shall we say, initiation into the field of sound. I was able to take over this organization that didn't even have a name. And a lot of sacred traditions, if you name something, you give it life. And so I basically called it the Sound Healers Association. And we had, at the time, a number of different really well-known people who were pioneering in the field of sound. And once a month, we would have these, we weren't online, we were meeting in person, and there'd be like 50 or 100 people who would come to these meetings with teachers from all over the planet. They were luminaries, they were giants, they were scientists, they were doctors, they were spiritual masters. And once a month, they would come and freely give of their time. It was kind of like a law of attraction type of phenomenon where they would just phone call from England going, hey, we understand you have this group. Would you like us to come over and teach for them? And all of a sudden, this world famous doctor, Dr. Peter Guy Manners, who basically pioneered so much work in the 1960s and 70s with sound healing, or we'd get people like Stephen Halpern or Kay Gardner or Dr. John Bouillou or our dear friend Sarah Benson. And they would come and they would teach. And for me, I realized as I was sitting there, and I said, I got to talk about the sound healers, because it suddenly hit me that most of my, if you like, education and awareness came from 10 years of being the host of these different wonderful luminaries, teachers, spiritual masters. And I would just gain all this information. And so I wanted to give a shout out to them who for 10 years, I guess that was probably 10 times 12 would be 120 sessions at least of a couple hours that I was exposed to, and it was enough to get a PhD in the subject. Anyway, you understand what that's like, and I want to honor the Sound Healers Association and just the fact that this really helped of sound as we know it today on the planet.
And Stephen, I want to say, obviously, that was way before I met Jonathan, because I've only known him for about 30 years. And that was 40 years ago. But that was back in 1982. And subsequently, because of that, there is so much information on sound as a healing modality through the Sound Healers Association that has been able to get out to many, many, many thousands of people. So we are grateful for that.
Yes, well, we are too. Boy, thank goodness that you developed this way back when, because this is really, to use kind of surfing metaphor, this wave is coming in. I mean, now you've got sound healing here, there, and everywhere. My God, it's unbelievable.
At last.
Well, we, 10 years ago, Andy and I used to say that we could feel it, because you can feel the energetics building. And we said, sound healing would be where yoga is. And that was 10 years ago. And I really believe that this is where yoga was 10 years ago. Sound healing now is today. So who knows where it's going to be like 10 years from now. Probably there'll be a sound healing place on every street corner.
No kidding. No kidding. Well, it has plays such an important role. Maybe we can go a little deeper into what its purpose is and how it works, because when we talk about, of course, the Humanities Team mission, make conscious living pervasive worldwide by 2040, where we're all living consciously, sound healing has a huge role in that, doesn't it?
Certainly, and particularly depending upon the, if you like, intention or the consciousness that you have when you're working with the sound. Because from one perspective, everything is vibration. And, so even though it's not audible, it's frequency, it's vibrations, creating fields, and the vibratory fields, if you like. And depending upon the consciousness and the intentionality of the field is how we resonate and behave. And so they're all interrelated. There is, there's no consciousness that isn't vibration. There is no vibration that isn't consciousness.
Well, and Steve, the real beauty of it, what's happening now is that people are, shall I say, tuning, pun intended, tuning into the fact that we are frequency, we are vibration, and that's then opening them up to the world of sound as a healing modality. And so it's really just skyrocketed just in these last several years. And, we are grateful because we always said we want to bring sound to the people as much as we can. And it does feel like now that has is really manifesting.
Yeah, now you go out on TikTok or Instagram or any social media, and they've got the little the a frequency was for our chakras from lower frequency at lower chakras to higher frequency, and you've got all these beautiful little sound healing things. Okay, now let's open up the root chakra. Good. Now we're going to go to the heart
Right.
chakra. Ding, ding, ding. It's incredible, as you mentioned. In fact, Albert Einstein, I think this whole E equals mc squared, a lot of people haven't really felt into what that really means. That mass actually equals energy. That that says we are energetic beings. All the way back in Albert Einstein's day, which is what then sound healing is bringing. We're energetic beings. You're sharing this is where it starts. And then I love your simple equation where this sound healing and intention, or sound and intention equals healing. Is that little formula you've got, which is so?
Well, that formula Jonathan created once again 40 years ago. Frequency plus intent equals healing. And indeed, the vibration, the frequency, when we put our conscious intention onto that frequency, boom, that's where healing happens. But, Steve, getting back to the point, we're all vibration, we're all in this frequency, that takes me to the place of we really are all one. And that unification, that oneness, it's like we're all vibrating in the frequency of Earth, of Gaia.
Yeah, no kidding. We are, and there's so many beautiful people in this field of transformational education or consciousness. One of our dear friends, Michael Bernard Beckwith, and we're all emanations of the one. We use the term the divine. He uses the term the divine. We could say life. Nassim Haramein of a sovereign body. We can use any term that we want. But as you mentioned, we're a part of a common body. And we can choose where we want to. We can operate up at this higher frequency in an intentional way, or we can operate, just kind of be unconscious and kind of fall down into these lower frequencies and not intentional, and then we're just like a ping pong, it just ping pong around in not a very, in kind of a dense, low energy place. We get to choose where we want to be, and so sound healing is just like, yeah, please come on in, Jonathan.
It's so interesting, Steve. This is something that I have been suggesting to a number, is the fact that when we talk about low frequencies or high frequencies in terms of density of consciousness and all that stuff, that is, if you like, not the same as sonic frequencies. So it's really important to not confuse a low, slow frequency with a dense frequency and a high frequency. A high sound is being more divine and godlike, because that's very different. If you were to basically study brain waves, you find that the slower and the lower the brain wave activity occurs, the more we can ascend in terms of our consciousness. It's like being on a diving board, and the diving board has got to be still. You go there, you hit it, and then you can bounce up to higher levels of consciousness. So as sound grows, people sometimes think high frequency sounds are good and low frequency sounds are not. That's kind of apples and oranges. When we're talking about frequencies of consciousness, frequencies of emotion, thought form frequencies, constructs, that's, if you like, a different ball game. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, no, thanks for bringing that in. And even this chakra thing, that root chakra is at a lower frequency, but it's healing, at this lower frequency. Just as, as you're coming up the chakras, it's healing at each level, and the top level's no better than the bottom level, because we don't.
Right. And what's interesting, and I'm going to acknowledge that low frequency sounds seem to affect the lower portion of our body, our trunk, our stomach area, mid-range, our chest and heart, high range, our head. That's true, but they're all really good.
And may I interject that it really does go back to intention. And what
Yeah.
is our intention? And what is that consciousness that we're holding when we are at that root chakra, at that crown chakra? What is that intention?
Yeah, boy, that is so important. We could just do the whole program on intention because it's kind of the energetic signature of this whole conscious living thing. It, of course, is your a key feature in your equation, and it's because just as you stated, I guess 40 years ago when you created your equation, if we're just in this beautiful frequency, but there's no intention, where we're not really of where are we placing ourselves? What is the vision? Where are we going? If in the absence of that, then we can just be. It's just like getting in a car with no intention of, well, you drive over here and then over there, and then back here. We're not really going anywhere. Intention is
Steve, when you're
making sure we're
dealing,
going
particularly
somewhere.
when you're dealing with words and speech, for example, you can say the same thing, and you can have a different intentionality, and people will receive it, and it'll have a different effect. Even the words "I love you," for example, if somebody, if you've ever been into a party and you see somebody that you've had some issues with, they walk up and they go, "Lovely to see you," and you feel like you've been psychically slimed. Well, because the words may have been one thing, but the energetics, encoded on it. And even the word love, it means a million different things depending upon how you're projecting this level of consciousness. Love is a good word, but still the energetics of it are very different depending upon who's projecting it and why.
And what their intention is.
Yeah, boy. And so that's coming back to just in the one, what is our essence, our essential self, and which is loving, which is all of these really beautiful things. And when we're in touch with that and we're intentional to that, then we can just be, with the invitation in life is, at least when we are looking at conscious living, it's to be an alchemist, to be a healer, it's the Martin Luther King thing of, yes, there's a lot of darkness out in the world, but our invitation is to be the light. So we're feeling into that. We're intentional about that, and so on. So anyway, boy, this is a beautiful conversation because we're kind of really walking around into a lot of important space, when we talk about sound healing and conscious living, isn't it? So let's go take a look at. Come in, Jonathan.
One last thought is that sound creates fields. Everything is field, but particularly sound and vibration creates field, and the fields and the energetics of the field are really created by our consciousness and the intentionality that we encode upon it. I think that's sort of the bottom line. That almost could be the unified field. It's the vibration, then how is the vibration being encoded and codified through the intention and the consciousness?
Yeah, can you give an example of that, Jonathan, if you would, just, in daily living, to make something that sounds maybe kind of abstract really feel like, okay, well, I got it.
That gets back into the frequency plus intent equals healing, and just the idea that we can take any sound and we're going to very little exercise, but just that we can experience with the hum that we like to use because that's a sound everybody can make. But depending upon what you intentionalize and encode upon the hum, the outcome of that sound, the resonance, the vibration, the effect of it will be based upon the consciousness and the intentionality that you put on it. Our friend Bruce Lipton has done a lot of work with the biology of belief and how our belief literally affects our cellular structure. And, you couple that with the, if you like, vibrations of the sound and what the intention of the sound is, and you got gold if it's good intent.
Right. Okay, good. Well, we're just gonna keep going deeper, and there are a lot of questions coming in. So I see John, Justin, Carolyn. So hey, we've got your comments here. We're going to get to them. And thank you for just wanting to be interactive with us here during this program. So let's first go to, we're going to go to a clip. This is from a program that Jonathan and Andy created for a Global Oneness Summit. They have 35 programs on Humanity Stream Plus. And how do I know that? And this is this revolutionary conscious streaming platform. We're going to go play a clip from it here in a second. But there's a search field up there. So right at the top, you can search for your favorite Jonathan Goldman, Deepak Chopra, Desmond Tutu, and it'll tell you how many programs they have. I was just checking this morning, and there are 35 programs here that Jonathan has with Andy on the Humanity Stream Plus platform, and it's all, we're a nonprofit, so it's all about just streaming this conscious media all over the world, and including in Spanish, German, and French here real soon. So let's go take a look at this clip. This is from, again, this panel, and it's Andy talking about something very important. Let's go take a look.
Tell us about compassion from your perspective.
Oh, thank you. I mean, both of what you all have said, Chloe and Lamatashi, I mean, I just ditto, ditto, ditto. And I'm reminded of a quote by Thich Nhat Hanh, who said that when there is understanding, compassion is born. And that really resonated with me because my feeling of my view of compassion is, yes, that all beings be free from suffering. And how can we go about doing that? And of course, if we can go into that depth of understanding all people, there is something that happens where we, the separation, that separation begins to dissolve when we can sort of walk a mile in another man's shoes. And of course, when I think about compassion too, there's so many qualities that I think about, like forgiveness and non-judgment and loving kindness. And I know just for myself, when I am in that place of non-judgment, I feel kindness toward all beings. And I feel that, that forgiveness is also important to begin to dissolve any kind of separation and bring in oneness. However, I think it's so important to forgive ourselves and to begin to feel that loving kindness and that compassion for ourselves. And then once that happens, we are able to give it back out to the world.
All right, and that is a beautiful program there, one of, again, 35 on the Humanity Stream Plus platform. Well, you could see what a distinguished panel that was. And that was really illuminating, Andy, where you're coming down into, when we talk about oneness, and this forgiveness for ourselves and others and walking in other people's shoes, I mean, you're really getting into what the oneness can be about, aren't you?
Oh, Steve, thank you for playing that clip, because I think it just is so, it just touches all the different areas of being able to connect in that oneness field. When we have that compassion and that loving kindness, and we can love ourselves and forgive ourselves, we send it back out. When we send it back out, then the people that we send it back out to, they send it back out, and on and on and on and on. So, yeah.
Yeah, boy, and that was, you might even just say a word about those people on your panel, because you had some very distinguished leaders there with you on that particular panel, didn't you?
Oh, Jonathan, you want to say?
One of them, Lamatashi, we were just speaking with last night over the internet, and he's such a brilliant teacher, Stephen. I trust that we're soon going to have on Humanities Stream Plus a wonderful series of teachings that he's done called Tibetan Secrets of Happiness, because he is just a master teacher, and he's over in India right now, and almost like our adopted son. And he can't help but teach. He was doing teachings with us last night.
Last night it was wonderful because we were having just a Zoom visit, shall we say, check in to say hello. He's in India, we're here. And the next thing we knew, Steve, we were just involved in this deep Tibetan teaching that he was sharing with us. So he's a just a deeply heartfelt, such a genuine, authentic, loving person.
And Chloe Goodchild is just a brilliant British vocalist, teacher, really teaching how the heart and the voice to sound. And she's just a wonderful, loving person who is probably her greatest, one of her greatest areas of expertise is simply to bring people together in large gatherings using sound, using song. And it's just such a gift because when you have people sounding together, all sorts of different things happen, but ultimately any sort of barriers that exist between people disappear. One of the really extraordinary things I remember she was talking about was she was in Ireland. Was it Dublin, perhaps?
Yeah, I think it was.
And there were two groups of people who were, shall we say, less than resonant with each other, and they had the Dalai Lama there to see if he could help bring peace. And she had these young people, these children, just singing a mantra to Tara, the divine female embodiment of compassion. And bottom line was that everybody was close to being in tears, just people who might have been warring to get against each other before that were brought together through the power of compassionate sound. And what a blessing.
Well, and with Chloe, I just have to say that she herself truly is the embodiment of loving kindness. She is one of the most heartfelt people, and we are thrilled that Lamatashi and Chloe are going to come back with us and do another panel for Global Oneness Day. So
Oneness Summit.
Oneness Summit, of course, now it's a summit, but we are so just honored that they have both agreed to join us again in October. So
we're grateful you all are going to be hosts again for the Global Oneness Summit 2022. Woo, boy, and we won't try and get into that. Big topic, but exciting program that's in store for you. Be sure to mark that October 24 is Global Oneness Day, which is, I think, a Monday this year. But there's a 9-10-day program preceding it. So lots more on that later. So a couple things here, viewers. One is there's an experiential thing that Andi and Jonathan are going to do in a minute. But before we get to that, let's just surface. There's this really huge program you're planning on the summer solstice on June 21st at 7 p.m. Pacific time. That's 8 p.m. Mountain, 10 p.m. Eastern time. It's a live program. So get out your calendar here. Mark your calendar. We're going to tell you a little bit about it now. So on the summer solstice, of course, that's the longest day of the year in the beginning of the summer in the northern hemisphere. And it's on June 21st, and this is 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern that this live program launches. Do you all want to share a little bit about that? Here, Jonathan and Andi.
I'd love to. But before we do, I want to just shout out a special thank you to you, Steve, to Humanities team for offering to partner with us for our what we're calling our Sound Healers Association Sound Satsang. So thank you very, very much.
Totally. Oh, we're excited. I mean, it is, on the summer solstice, how cool is this? And I know you're putting a lot of time and thought and planning into this. And And of course, the summer solstice, there's so many things, longest day of the year in the northern hemisphere and the beginning of summer, but also, birthing of new energy, new beginnings. These are things we think of, at summer solstice. So it's an important day, and you're giving it importance in what you've created, aren't you?
Well, and Steve, it is the day on our planet where the most light comes in. And what a beautiful day for all of us to resonate with that radiant light. And of course, here in Colorado, it will be taking place at 3:14 a.m. and people can adjust their times because it'll be different times in different places. But I thought when I was thinking about it, I went, wow, so Tuesday morning, we're going to wake up and let's immediately set that intention of bringing in all that light and that radiance into our body, mind, and spirit so that we can then send that out and feel that abundance that the summer solstice really brings. I know back in ancient times, it was midsummer. They were gathering all their, abundance and their crops. And it was a great celebration of, oh my gosh, we have everything we could possibly need or want. Wow, what an energy to do a sound satsang.
It's a great time to manifest for the present and the future. And sound is one of the great vehicles. Intentionalized conscious sound is one of the great vehicles. And if you like, the name sound satsang just probably has been resonating in my psyche for a really long time. And I just thought, hey, what a delight it would be for me to do sound satsang. Now, what is a satsang? A satsang technically either means a discourse or a gathering of people. And from one perspective, it's going to be both because we're going to be having people gathering and we're going to be sharing together with questions and answers at the end. Also, giving me the opportunity to, at the moment in time and place as I am guided, to share like some of the information over the last 40 years that I've encoded into my psyche that I can share with people. And so I'm very, very excited to be doing and also presenting this free as a gift. Let me give to the planet. Let us give to the planet this. And it's going to conclude, Steve, well, actually not conclude, but toward the end, it's going to be having a wondrous global Om that we're going to be able to send light and love through sound to our beloved planet, which I think needs to be mandatory part of any gathering that we have. If we got the consciousness, if we got the people together, let's use it actively to create some sort of positive shift and change in the energy field and just this.
Well, and for quite a long time, and we put a beautiful format for Jonathan, who is an absolute, he's a founding pioneer in the field of sound. He is just a wealth of knowledge for teachings, and this will be happening once a month. And we are just thrilled and grateful that this opportunity is going to be manifesting.
Yes, well, we are too. We're excited to be.
Anybody who is interested.
Yeah, to come. So June 21st, it starts at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern. We're carrying it live, Humanities Team, so you can go to humanitiesteam.org. We'll be sending out promotions for it, links to come in of Jonathan with the Sound Healers Association and Andi are promoting it from their website. So this is the launch, and then as they mentioned, it'll be monthly after that where we're doing these really beautiful sound healing programs that are live. So join us Tuesday the 21st, 7 p.m. Pacific. Let me also just bring in, I shared that the summer solstice has so many meetings, all of the maximum light. So that's a pretty cool aspect. which is this whole birthing new energy thing. So one of the things we were chatting about coming into this program, just in the green room, is a humanities team with Neil Donald Walsh and the Conversations with God Foundation has just green lighted, a major initiative for us that with our partners. So Andi, Jonathan, our other friends who are faculty are all a part of it, which is really I'll call it carrying this flag of that. My God, if now isn't the time to live consciously, when is that time? I mean, in a sense, isn't this like the perfect time for advancement? We're just one decision away here, from living this beautiful life where the whole planet is conscious, and which means it's fulfilling, it's sustainable, it's flourishing. And as we know, in fact, we were talking about this too before coming on the program, a key theme of Jonathan's and Andi's with their World Sound Healing Day is we heal ourselves, we heal the planet. We heal the planet, we heal ourselves. So we want to really put a focus here on, hey, let's do this. And I know we're all conscious. It's why you're here as a viewer. We're conscious viewers. So where we just really follow this impulse of our soul, that still, quiet voice that's guiding our conscious living. This is one of the tenets of conscious living, where our soul is, we understand wisdom is right there, in our soul space. And we're following that impulse of our soul in our daily living. And then doing these other things that we've been getting to here, and with sound healing and intention and all of these things. So invite you to be a part of the program on the 21st, and more than that, and then the monthly programs after, which we'll be carrying. And then, more than that, to just now, with all of the challenges out in the world, let's create this really beautiful, healed, safe space where we're living consciously and where we're doing it together, and where, day by day by day, we're actually unfolding into this beautiful world that we all know is possible. It's why we were born into the world, right? Was to create that. So this has got to be the perfect time for advancement. Let's go for it here. So we want to invite you in. Join us. Come to the program on the 21st. Come to we'll be telling you about their other monthly programs. We're just super excited about it. Any other words you want to share here, Jonathan and Andi? I'm going to go to some questions here too, and then we're going to bring in your experiential exercise as well.
Steve, I wonder maybe if we could do the experiential exercise now, just to put everybody in a resonant vibration. You're the guide. You tell us when.
We can. Yeah, sure. Let's do it, and then we'll go to questions.
Okay.
So we thought we would work with one of our favorite sounds, the hum. And just again, for those who know us, we have worked with powerful mantric forms, from overtones, from everything, tuning forks, all sorts of sacred chants, etc. And it's great. But one, if you like, one sound that seems to be really taking off as a universal, all-inclusive sound is the hum. We're not going to get into talking more about that, except to say that it really is a powerful vibroacoustic, meaning it's a sound that we make that literally can resonate our cells on a very deep level, and at the same time can put our consciousness into it. Andi?
Well, and it's certainly one of those sounds that everybody can make. And talking about non-judgment, that's a sound that people just do not have any judgment about. I've never heard anyone say, oh, I'm not a very good hummer. But so what we thought we would do today, and we like to call it conscious humming, because we are very conscious in our intention and how we are really focusing. Our mouth is closed. We're going to do some deep breathing before we actually go into that hum. We always suggest to, really just be as comfortable as possible. And, just to set an intention of appreciation, of gratitude, for this. It's a short experience that we're going to do now. We're probably going to just do a series of, you want to do three or four?
We'll do 4 hums.
We'll do a series of 4 hums.
And when we do a longer extended thing, anytime we work with sound, we do, if you like, an exercise to manifest heart brain coherence so that our electromagnetic field becomes greater. And then when we add the energy of sound, it becomes even greater so we can send it out to the planet. But simply as we take some breaths in, thinking of, and Andy maybe got us for a moment in the idea of doing some appreciation and whatnot, and we'll take some nice deep breaths and
and we'll hold that intention of sending out that appreciation too. Well, in preparation for the global solstice coming up, we'll send out that love right now. We'll just get that field ready.
And feeling it for yourself, because one of the things, and this is great, one of the things that this sound does is it brings us into a state of de-stress. It lowers our heart rate, our respiration, our brain waves. It's got all sorts of physiological functions that are powerful, and we kind of go into that right now, except to just say, check yourself out.
And
then after you do it, we'll be in silence for just a minute afterwards, and just check yourself out afterwards.
We'll prepare for all the questions. So I think what we'll do now is we'll close our eyes, and if you can, sit with your spine erect and close your eyes and begin to focus on your breathing and taking a nice deep breath. This first breath, let's just exhale out anything that we don't need right now. Breathe out anything that's not serving us in this moment for our highest good. And now, as we're focusing on our breathing, breathing in and breathing out, and just visualizing or setting the intention of thinking about something, feeling something that we are grateful for, that we have appreciation in our hearts for. And when we take our in-breath, it's on that exhale that our hum will come out. And so now we will take some breaths and begin our series of 4 hums. So the first one, breathing in and exhaling out the hum. Ready? Breathing in. Breathing in.
Still one more.
And one more. And we'll be in silence for just a moment to allow the sound to make those shifts and changes.
Just check yourself out. Notice any difference you may be feeling.
Listening to our inner wisdom in the silence.
And really, it's in this place of silence that the true shifts and changes occur. in the word silent is the word listen. So we can really listen within in the silence.
Hmm. And when you feel ready, you can open your eyes and slowly begin to come back into this space. Usually we stay in silence quite a bit longer, but in honor of time, we'll come back now.
Okay, beautiful. Boy, well, that takes us to a wonderful place, doesn't it? High frequency place. Beautiful. Thank
Mm.
you. Thanks so much, Jonathan and Andy. So, well, let's
Thank you.
yeah, let's jump right into some of these questions here. Um, so I'll start. There's a question here from Justin who says, "Can you explain the range of frequencies that are associated with each chakra? It would be great to know how the chakra frequencies are associated with the ranges for delta, theta, epsilon, DMN, etc., and how they were formally recognized."
Boy, Steve, what an incredible question. And there's no one on the planet who can give you more than a metaphor for that question because, Justin, when I came up with this formula, frequency plus intent equals healing, the reason I did was that I had a pile of papers this high that was based upon many, many, many different scientists, spiritual masters, healers, frequencies that they were using for the chakras, as well as for the specific organs of the body and other things. And the reality is that they didn't necessarily line up. And I was really in a state of intellectual angst. This inner voice said it is not only the frequency of the sound that created the effect, it is also the intention of the person making and receiving the effect, which is where I came up with frequency plus intent equals healing. So, with this in mind, I understood that and I helped Steve initiate a lot of the current understanding of what frequencies and what notes are associated with the chakras through my award-winning albums, Chakra Chants, et cetera, et cetera. But those are just metaphors. Because, Justin, I will tell you that you can also resonate each chakra with a single same tone, the monotone. And in fact, in India, one of the most sacred mantric systems that can be used is called the Bija mantra system or Bij mantra system. And they work on a monotone. The same tone is done for every chakra with a different mantra. So once again, it depends upon our belief system. If you want to use what they call a diatonic system with its C, D, E, F, G, A, B, like the white keys on a piano, you can. Or you can use all sorts of things. So people can create these systems, but I'd like to suggest that they may, and because our intentionality, our belief is so powerful, we do manifest it. But I like to say not to get too codified, locked into any one system. So I'm not scared of the issue, but I'm saying you can create almost whatever you want.
Wow, isn't that interesting? Yeah, I'm learning a lot myself here during this program. You know, because again, as I mentioned, you can go out on TikTok and all of these, and there are all of these frequencies for chakra and so on. But I didn't realize that there is no sort of objective, frequency. It's, people are making this up. We're still, we're still kind of feeling into these things and finding healing and saying, this is my version.
Right. Steve, I could hit this tuning fork and say, okay, I'm going to hit this, and you're going to feel your whatever chakra you want. And I almost guarantee with the projected intentionality encoded upon the sound, you would have that response. And I could do a different tuning fork and we would do it. So it is like that. Our belief system so much manifests the reality.
Yeah, boy, that and that comes back to conscious living too. Beliefs are, where it all starts. Of what are our beliefs? And then intention comes in, and so boy, we're really going through a lot of the fundamentals of conscious living here, which is beautiful. So here's a question. Carolyn says, I do sound healing as my meditation. I can really feel a difference when I miss a session. Why is that, technically speaking?
Well, I think that when we have consistency in what we do, whatever our practice is, I know that the consistency, doing it every single day, really builds and builds and builds the experience and the frequency. And so if you miss a day, you're going to you're going to miss that energy. You're going to miss that vibration for that day. So then when you get back to it, it may be feeling a little bit different. But one of the things that I personally think is so important, I know I have several practices that I do every day, but the one practice that I will not miss is I have some tuning forks, a C and G tuning fork, and I do a tuning fork. Well, here they are. I do a tuning fork healing every morning, and I, get them vibrating and put them crisscross over my head. It balances the left and the right brain of the body. And I know Dr. John Beaulieu, who is really the godfather of tuning forks, he consistently says every single day, don't miss a day. Do that every day, and you will see such a difference. So for Carolyn, I think just that consistency would be my recommendation.
Yeah, and we do a humming practice too.
Humming practice
sometimes
every day.
humming while doing the tuning forks.
Yeah.
Whatnot. And it's so interesting because they're all the different sound practices, all the different breathing practices, they're all different and they affect you differently.
Yeah.
So I hope that
Thank you.
helps.
Yes, it does. Boy, it means every day. Let's keep this up because the good things come from it. A nice way to start our day, isn't it?
Well, and also, Steve, just a few minutes, goes a long way.
That's right.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you. Just it comes back to this whole intention thing, which I'm going to go to intention in 1 second. But first, Susan says, or I'm sorry, Aman Aska says, I healed my lungs and heart with a beloved Osho's humming meditation. So somebody just wanting to come in with testimony. So thank you, Amant, for sharing that. Now, Susan then says, could you give examples of intentions one would make during sound healing sessions?
Wow. I think that just so depends on each individual. I mean, for instance, if, I have, for instance, coming, doing the interview today, Steve, my intention was, may I project love and knowledge and light and, and then I would do my tuning forks or hum, but whatever you might be facing that particular day. Maybe you're going to have a special meeting, or you have an issue that you're going to deal with another person. Maybe you would set the intention of having the most beneficent outcome possible and sound into that intention.
And I mean, just as a thought, you can also, if you're working, you can make a sound and project a color, a geometric form, all sorts of things, and it depends on what is your purpose, what is needed. Sometimes we ask for simply, as Andy said, to be of the highest, purpose and benefit in terms of creating the resonance for either yourself or someone else. So it can be almost anything as long as it's good.
Well, almost anything. And I always add, may I have the most beneficent outcome possible. And for some reason, that affirmation sort of attached to anything that I'm doing really has been quite powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. Those are wonderful examples. Thank you. Yeah, and it just comes back to how individualized this is. There is no
Mhm.
sort of one thing, size fits all. We're all emanations of or offspring of the one, and the one is love and beauty and blessing and grace and peace and all of these beautiful things. But we all have our own station in life. Yeah, so our intentions can take us in quite different directions. Yeah,
But
Jonathan.
just our dear friend Sarah Benson, our mentor, one of the great,
Oh,
the person who invited me first to the first meeting of the Sound Healers that I basically, you know, took over. She had a saying: "The true sound of healing is love."
Yeah, yeah.
So I
Well, there
think you
you
can
go.
never do wrong as long as
Right.
it's divine love that you're encoding onto the sound.
Yeah, beautiful. That is our essence. That's our essential self, isn't it? So, never going to go wrong pointing in that direction. So, which you all are bringing, by the way, to the screen today. So, thank you, and our viewers, with their questions and interactions. So we've created that space together here. So wonderful. All right, here's a question now from John, who says, I have a son who has a relatively rare form of muscular dystrophy. Sometimes when he gets upset, he settles from the sound of wind chimes. I'm wondering why it doesn't work all the time, so thanks in advance. So.
That's
I don't know,
I
but that
know.
does seem to be the case where you'll use one, whatever is a vibration, a sound, an herb, an X, Y, or Z, and you'll have great healing, great success, great vibrational realignment, and then use it another time and it doesn't work. That has got me puzzling always. And I would just suggest that that is a phenomenon that I've encountered over and over again. Perhaps we assimilate to it, there's a shift and change, and it's time to use something else, or it's just not the right time and place. So that's a great question. I wish I had a definitive answer. I would say that if we gave you a definitive answer, it would really just be a guess.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
what a gift that he does, that the chimes do in fact help in whatever moment they help. And what a blessing that is. And possibly there might be some other sounds that you could try and see what the experience might be. Yeah.
yeah, that's a
Have a
great
bag of
suggestion.
tricks.
Great suggestions there, several of them. Thank you. So, and I'll go to a last
Mm.
question, and then we're actually out of time, so we'll wrap up here. But so this is Janine, who says, I have a good friend who is suicidal. Everyone around her is at their wits' end trying to help her. She's been hospitalized numerous times. Uh, what kind of sound healing might help her realize how precious her life is? She's bipolar and off meds, and has been off meds for a long time.
Wow, that is a heavy duty question
Yeah,
for
yeah, that is
the
it's a
2 minutes that we have. Oh, the wow, the only thing that I could recommend for that particular thing, because there's so many layers to that for sure, is even maybe just help her by humming, by just starting to consciously hum. And maybe the people around her, they could all hum together to help her. But
Projecting the love,
yeah,
yeah.
projecting
And
that
and I
love.
was just hit with, boy, the most beautiful music that she loves. Just and you would ask her not your choice of beautiful music, but her choice. What
Mhm.
music really, as a child, as a whatever, and her own RX, and try that. Creating a musical RX for her, based upon her choices of things that really make her feel good, and
Mhm.
that's going to differ from person to
Yeah,
person as well.
yeah. Yeah, and if she
yeah,
would let you
wonderful.
hold her hands while you were humming would be very, very
Yeah.
important too.
Yeah, I love that.
Good luck with
And it's
that,
just all
and
coming back to
lots of
this whole
peace
loving
from that.
expression thing of being that, of finding
Mhm.
her favorite, music or healing sound. I love that. Yeah. So it's really, and just on a personal note here, the growing up, I grew up as a Catholic, and so growing up that way, you can go to sort of with these very challenging things into more lack of, oh God, help me, we're not, I need this, I need that, I need, and of course, we've learned as part of this conscious journey that where we're coming from lack and want, we unfortunately don't draw in, the solution. Whereas when we can come from this loving expression in all of its various forms, and thank in advance, knowing that it is really true when they say that everything is good. The divine is always in order. That's a very challenging thing to realize in this case where you have a suicidal friend. But really, the highest and best thing we can do are these things you're talking about. Being a loving expression in all of these ways that you suggest. So, okay, that's a great way to leave it here after a magnificent hour. And want to thank you so much, Jonathan Goldman, Andi Goldman, the Sound Healers Association, all of these. Thank you. And viewers, thanks so much for being here. And you join us now Tuesday, the 21st. So this is just next week on the 21st, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern. If you're a Humanities Team friend on our email list, we'll be sending out information also from Jonathan Goldman, Jonathan and Andi's website. If you want to share your website, please do, Jonathan and Andi.
Yes, it's Healing Sounds. Sounds is plural. HealingSounds.com. Very easy.
Okay, so and we're both going to be promoting this. Want to invite you to be there with us, viewers, next week, and then every month thereafter. So we're all on the conscious journey. Hey, this is the perfect time for advancement. We're only one decision away, right, from this world that we all have envisioned. Let's go make that happen, and that'll be our final word here. Well, actually, let's pull the camera back. I'm in a studio here in Boulder. You'll see Jim Gray, who's put this whole thing together. There's Jim over there, and that's me, over. That's my hand coming in from the side. So, hey, Jim, thank you for making this whole program possible. Also, Karen Gordon, who leads the communications team, Nanette Kennedy, Dee Meyer, Garth Catterall. So thank you to my partners and colleagues who made this program possible. We'll see you guys next week on Wednesday for our live program, and Tuesday night, the 21st, at 7 p.m. Pacific for the summer solstice. So have a great week, and we'll see you next week, everybody. Love and peace and blessings.
Thank you.